You wake up. The alarm clock rings. Maybe it didn't even need to ring. You've been awake for a while, staring at the ceiling, thinking about nothing, or everything. You get up, brush your teeth, grab your phone. Just the same old routine. Notifications, feeds, short videos, promises of a better life that never arrives. You feel like you're doing things, but something inside you is turned off. You breathe, but you don't feel the air coming in. You talk, but don't know why. You exist, but are you living? That's the question we'll confront together today. And get ready, it might change everything. Seneca wrote, "While we waste our time hesitating and postponing, life passes." This phrase, written almost 2,000 years ago, could have been posted today on any social media platform, but it would just be another pretty quote that you'd like and forget seconds later. Why? Because we're addicted to existing, but we've forgotten how to live. Existing is easy. It's on autopilot. You wake up, work, respond, react, fulfill, distract yourself, repeat. It's like a treadmill that never stops. But you've stopped. You've stopped feeling. You've stopped choosing. The truth is harsh but liberating. Most people don't live. They merely exist. Imagine this. You're on a train that doesn't stop. The scenery passes by. Days, months, years. Everything gets left behind. But you don't even notice. You have your head down, looking at the floor of the carriage. One day, you lift your eyes, and you ask yourself, how did I get here? When did I stop feeling enthusiasm for life? The answer is often, you never learned how to truly live. You learned to produce, to comply, to obey. But no one taught you what it means to be present, what it means to live with purpose, what it means to consciously choose day after day, what you want to feel, to build, to leave behind. And that's where the Stoics come in. Stoicism isn't about accepting everything silently, as many think. It's about waking up. It's about clarity, about understanding that you can't control the world, but you can command your mind. And that command is what brings you back to life. Let's use a simple image. Think of a candle. It exists. It's there, solid, whole, but it hasn't been lit yet. Now think of another candle that is lit, vibrating with light. It burns. Yes, it consumes itself, but it illuminates the environment. It warms. Both are candles, but only one has fulfilled its purpose. Which one are you living like? Maybe you say, but I have bills, commitments, obligations. I can't stop everything and philosophize. You don't need to. Stoicism is for those who live in the real world, for those who are in the midst of chaos. Marcus Aurelius was an emperor. Epictetus was a slave. Seneca was an advisor to Nero. None of them lived in retreat. They were all in the thick of life, and still, or perhaps precisely because of that, they chose to live with soul. This video isn't about giving you a magic formula. It's about holding up a mirror to you, and perhaps, for the first time in a long time, you'll see your own reflection clearly. You'll notice where you're stuck, where you're distracted, where you're self-sabotaging, and you'll discover that truly living doesn't require an external revolution. It requires an internal decision. So tell me, with brutal sincerity, do you wake up with eagerness or with weight? Do you have goals or just tasks? Do you feel joy or just relief when the day ends? These answers aren't about success. They're about presence. And presence is the first step to truly living. From now on, we'll walk through this journey together. You're going to get out of zombie mode, out of autopilot, out of the silent stupor, and step into the territory of those who live with intention. But I warn you, it won't be comfortable. It will be real, and the real transforms. Final transition phrase for the next segment. Existence is passive. Life is active. And those who want to truly live will need to wake up. First, the zombie mode, existing without awareness. Have you ever caught yourself saying, wow, the day flew by, or worse? Have you ever reached the end of the week feeling like nothing really happened, even though you did 1,000 things? This is the invisible trap, the mechanical life. It steals your time, your energy, your soul, and you don't even notice. Epictetus wrote, "It's not death that should be feared, but the fear of never starting to live, and that fear often goes unnoticed. It disguises itself as routine. Imagine a hamster on a wheel. It runs, spins, runs more. The body gets tired, but it doesn't go anywhere. That's how those who merely exist live, busy, tired, exhausted, but stagnant. The wheel spins, but the soul doesn't move. You wake up, grab your phone, mechanically. You get ready, have breakfast, respond to messages. Mechanically, you go to work, talk to people, make decisions. But internally, it's as if you're not even there. You're reacting to life, not living it. You're not alone. Millions of people live like this, and many think it's normal. But Stoicism teaches us, normal is not the same as right. The automatic life is comfortable at first glance. It spares you from deep decisions. You follow a script, adapt, repeat. But over time, something starts to hurt. A nameless pain, a void that's hard to explain. You look around and see that you have everything that should make you happy, but your soul remains restless. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes colored with the colors of your thoughts." The problem is, when you live on autopilot, you don't even know which thoughts you're allowing. The zombie life distances you from yourself. You lose awareness. You lose intention. And with that, you lose presence. Let's do a small experiment. Close your eyes for a moment after you hear this part. Now, try to remember your day yesterday. How many things do you remember clearly? How many conversations did you have that you truly participated in? Most of the time we remember flashes, fragments, nothing very clear. This shows that we weren't present. We were just functioning. The harsh but essential truth is, when you live without awareness, you're wasting the only thing you truly possess, time. And Stoicism hits this note like a relentless bell. It is impossible to recover lost time. It is the only thing that cannot be returned. Seneca. But why do we fall into this zombie mode? Because it protects us. It spares us from overthinking, from feeling too much, from facing difficult decisions. It's like emotional anesthesia. You don't feel pain, but you also don't feel true joy. The trade-off is unfair, and you deserve more. Let's imagine two scenes. In the first, a person wakes up, gets ready, works, comes home, has dinner, goes to bed. At the end of the day, she thinks, "Phew, another day survived." In the second scene, the person wakes up, takes a deep breath and thinks, "Today, I want to make my time count." They also work, have tasks to complete, but they look into people's eyes. They savor the taste of coffee. They are grateful to be alive. At the end of the day, they think, "Today, I lived." The difference isn't in what they did, but in how they lived. A life without presence is like driving at night with the headlights off. You might move, but you're always on the brink of an accident. Now listen closely. You might be making money, achieving success, being productive, and still be dead inside. That's why the Stoics say, don't live as if you have 1,000 years ahead of you, because you don't. Real life demands awareness, and awareness requires courage. Courage to step off the wheel, courage to look within and ask, what am I doing with my existence? The first step to truly living is this: stop, look around, look within, and notice how much life you've already lost to distraction. But don't blame yourself. Guilt paralyzes you. Awareness sets you free. You are here, now, and that means there is still time. Transition phrase to the next segment. Living begins when you wake up inside, and waking up is always an act of courage. The Stoic awakening, the first battle you've begun to awaken. The question has been asked, am I living or merely existing? And if it stirred something in you, then something inside has already begun to shift. This is the first step, but it's also the first battle, because waking up is just the beginning. Living requires struggle, and the first struggle is against an enemy you know well, your own conditioned mind. Epictetus said, "No one is free who is not master of oneself," and this is the first Stoic mission, to regain control of your own mind, to wake up for real, to choose, to take the reins. Imagine your mind as a fortress. For years, it stood open. Any thought could enter, any fear, any distraction, any external opinion took up space inside. Now that you've decided to awaken, it's time to rebuild the walls. Choose what enters. Protect what is essential. But prepare yourself. Chaos will try to pull you back. As soon as you try to live with more intention, the world will start to test you. You decide to wake up earlier, but fatigue speaks louder. You want to meditate, but your phone buzzes. You try to say no to something that drains you, but the fear of rejection creeps in. These tests are not coincidences. They are the battlefield of your transformation. Seneca wrote, Difficulties strengthen the mind, just as exercise strengthens the body. Every time you face resistance and choose awareness, you win a small battle, and each small victory returns a piece of your freedom to you. Let's visualize this as an internal game with levels and stages. Level 1, notice the automatic. Level 2, question what is useless. Level 3, choose with intention. Level 4, act with presence. Level 5, maintain consistency, despite contrary winds. This is how you evolve, not by skipping levels, but by confronting the monsters that reside within. The first of these, the belief that you can't change. How many times have you said, "I'm just this way. I've always been distracted. I can't be consistent"? These phrases are soft poisons. You take them without realizing, and they weaken your soul. The Stoics break this with strength. They say, you are not what you feel, you are what you do. You can feel fear and still act with courage. You can feel laziness and still get up and fulfill your duty. You can feel doubt but continue. This is the essence of Stoic philosophy, not depending on fleeting emotions to do what is right. Now think of a campfire. At first, it's just a spark. You need to protect it. Blow gently. Feed it with the right kindling. If you lose focus, the fire goes out. But if you nourish it, soon it becomes a flame. Then, a fire that warms and guides. Your soul works this way. In the first days of change, the fire is still fragile, but with each small conscious action, it grows. Want to see how this works in practice? Imagine someone who always complains about work. Every day they wake up irritated, dragging their feet, wishing for the weekend. This person doesn't live, they survive. But one day, they decide to change one detail. Before leaving, they pause for 1 minute, close their eyes, take a deep breath, and give thanks. They express gratitude for having a functioning body, a roof over their head, a mission, no matter how challenging it may seem. Sounds small? It's in that decision that the course begins to shift, because they're not waiting for the world to change. They've changed themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "Get up, do your part. You were born for this." He was the most powerful man in Rome. He could command and demand. But every day, he repeated this to himself because he knew that a lazy mind and ego are invisible enemies. And what about us? We need the same discipline. Awakening is uncomfortable. You start to see things you avoided. You begin to notice how much time you waste on distractions. You realize how often you hide behind excuses. But you also begin to feel something new. Power. The power to choose clearly, to live with soul, to stop being a hostage to circumstances. This is the first great turnaround. You cease to be a victim of life and become its protagonist. And this changes everything. Now, you no longer wake up out of obligation. You wake up because you know that each day is a sacred battle, and truly living requires presence, courage, and intention. Here's a simple mission. Tomorrow, before you touch your phone, place your feet on the ground, take a deep breath, and say out loud, "Today, I choose to live with presence." Repeat this, even if it feels strange at first. It's an anchor, an affirmation, a call for your soul to awaken. You are not alone. Thousands of people are making this same choice right now. People who are tired of merely existing. People who understand that living is not a luxury. It's a necessity. And every time you win an internal battle, your external life begins to change. Slowly, subtly, but profoundly. You attract new connections. You see new opportunities. You feel more energy. Because your soul is finally awake, alive, attentive. Transition phrase to the next segment. Waking up is just the beginning. Now begins the journey, the reconstruction of a life with soul. Sometimes all we need is a moment of silence to realize that we are still alive and that this, in itself, is a chance to start over. If this moment has awakened something within you, write in the comments, "I choose to be present." This is a seed you plant now that will bloom in every small decision. Now back to our lesson. Third, beliefs that keep you trapped. Have you ever heard someone say, "Life is just like that"? Or perhaps, "When I have money, then I'll start living for real." It sounds harmless, doesn't it? But these phrases are traps disguised as common wisdom. And worse, perhaps you've repeated them without realizing you were feeding the mental prison that prevents you from living fully. Stoicism is direct, raw, liberating. It doesn't accept polished excuses. It firmly strips away the masks. One of the first masks it destroys is the belief that you will only truly live when something external changes. Epictetus wrote, "It is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." Read that sentence again, because it changes everything. Pain doesn't come from reality itself. It comes from what you think about that reality. You believe your life is small. You believe you will only be happy if you have more. You believe what you currently have is not enough to live well. But who put those ideas in your head? You? Or was it the world shouting them at you until you accepted them as truth? Let's use a simple analogy. Imagine a person sitting in a comfortable chair. They are bound by an invisible chain. This chain doesn't hurt. It doesn't tighten, but it prevents them from getting up. Now, imagine that this chain doesn't actually exist. They just think it does. So they remain there, year after year, hearing voices saying, "Better not to try. Wait a little longer. Now is not the time." This person is you every time you believe you need to wait for life to improve before you start living. This belief keeps you trapped, and the most dangerous part, it's comfortable. It's easier to blame the lack of money than to admit that fear of acting is yours. It's easier to blame routine than to accept that you're scared of change. It's easier to say, "Life is just like that," than to face the emptiness of a life without purpose. Stoicism says, freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's not being a slave to anything, not even your own thoughts. You think you'll start living later, after the ideal job, after the perfect home, after solving all your problems. But the truth is simple, and perhaps uncomfortable. If you don't learn to live with what you have now, you won't know how to live with more. The mind that complains about little will complain about a lot. The soul that can't find beauty in the simple won't find peace in the luxurious. The heart that isn't grateful in the present will live restless in the future. Have you ever met someone who has money, status, comfort, but lives anxious, bitter, empty? Exactly. The life worth living doesn't start when you achieve more. It starts when you change the way you look at life. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in Rome, had everything anyone could desire. Yet he wrote, "True happiness is wanting what you already have." This isn't conformism. This is liberation. It's lifting the weight of external expectations. It's saying, I choose to live well with what I have within my reach now. And from that solid foundation, build something greater if necessary, but without depending on it to feel alive. Now stop and think honestly. How many times have you postponed your life waiting for the right moment? How many opportunities have you let slip by because you thought you weren't ready? How many experiences have you rejected because you thought now is not the moment? If you're honest, you'll realize you weren't waiting for the right moment. You were scared. And it's okay to feel fear, but it's not okay to let that fear drive your whole life. Do you want freedom? It begins the moment you stop outsourcing your responsibility. As long as you believe you need X or Y to start living, you will be trapped. Trapped by an illusion. Trapped by a condition. Trapped by a story that isn't even yours. What do the Stoics say? Take control of what's within your reach, and accept with serenity what is not. If you do this, you free yourself, because power returns to you. And when power returns to you, you stop waiting, you start acting, you start living. Even with little, even with doubts, even with fear, the invisible chain falls to the ground, and you rise. Transition phrase to the next section. The greatest prison is the one you cannot see, and the greatest revolution is when you decide to live with what you have, where you are, as you can. Fourth, the journey of the silent hero. Pause for a moment, close your eyes and imagine you are in a silent battlefield. There are no cries, no swords clashing in the air, but inside you, a war is being waged every single day, an invisible war, and you are the warrior. This isn't a war against other people. It's a war against mediocrity, against conformism, against self-abandonment, against that voice that says, leave it for tomorrow. And every small action with purpose is a sharp sword that cuts the invisible threads of stagnation. You are living the journey of the silent hero, and this hero doesn't need capes or spotlights. He doesn't shout. He doesn't seek approval. He gets up every day and acts with soul. Epictetus began this journey as a slave. He had no freedom, no possessions, no power, but he had something no one could take away, the choice of how to respond to what happened. He learned to observe his thoughts, to master his reactions, to act with virtue even amid pain, and over time, he became a master. The slave became an advisor to emperors, not because he defeated others, but because he defeated himself. This is the power of someone who takes command of their own soul. And the good news? You can do the same. You don't need to change the whole world at once. You just need to start in a sacred territory, your own day. Life as daily mission Stoic philosophy can and should be lived as a practical journey. Nothing abstract, nothing unattainable. Just daily missions, like a warrior in training. Mission 1. Observe your own thoughts. Before you act, you observe. Before you react, you breathe. This is the mission of self-awareness. The Stoics called this mindful attention to reason. Logos. Who is free? The one who masters themselves. Epictetus exercise. Upon waking, ask yourself, is what I'm feeling right now useful, or is it controlling me? You don't have to fight with your thoughts. You just need to see them for what they are, a visitor, and you decide whether to open the door or not. Mission 2. Choose what is under your control. You can't control traffic. You can't control the economy. You can't control what others say or think, but you can control how you respond to all of this. Imagine being in a storm. You can't stop the rain, but you can build a shelter or even dance in it. This is the second mission. Focus only on what is directly under your influence. This conserves energy, it brings clarity, and it eliminates the despair of trying to fix the whole world. Mission 3. Act with virtue. Action is the heart of the Stoic journey. It's not enough to just think or plan. You need to act, and act with purpose. The Stoic virtues are your code of conduct. Courage, doing what is right even when afraid. Justice, treating others with dignity even when no one is watching. Moderation, resisting excess and impulse. Wisdom, reflecting before acting. Every time you choose virtue over ease, you sharpen your sword, you strengthen yourself, you become a silent hero. The Stoic warrior's routine. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be present and consistent. Turn your day into a training ground. In the morning, reflect, prepare like a soldier before battle. During the day, act with presence, course correct, observe without judging. At night, review. Where did I excel? Where can I improve tomorrow? Marcus Aurelius did this. Even as an emperor, he wrote to himself like a humble student. He knew the soul needs discipline just as much as the body. Emotion, the power of taking command. You know that feeling of being lost? Of being pushed by the days like a leaf in the wind? It disappears the moment you decide to lead your own life, even silently, even without applause. You begin to live with internal strength. People notice. Your presence changes. You don't need to convince anyone. Your posture speaks for you. You will stop running in circles and start moving forward, even if slowly, in a purposeful direction. You will feel that every small gesture carries weight. Every choice holds meaning. Every yes or no leaves marks. And that is truly living. Living with soul, with honor, with clarity. Visual example. Imagine an ordinary person. They wake up, feel anxiety, grab their phone, and go on autopilot. But one day, they decide to change. On that day, they get up, look in the mirror, and say, "Today, I choose to be the master of my soul." They don't shout it. They don't post it. But they start to live with intention. They begin to observe their impulses. They breathe before reacting. They speak less, listen more. They choose virtue, even when it's harder. No one sees what happens inside them, but internally, they are winning huge battles. This is the silent hero, and this can be you. Closing the block. True strength doesn't lie in dominating others. It lies in mastering yourself, and every day, you have a new chance to wield your invisible sword and fight for your soul. Transition phrase to the next block. When you act with virtue, even in silence, the world feels it, and your soul finally breathes freedom. Fifth, what you are losing. Imagine a candle burning in a dark room. It burns all the time, but illuminates nothing. The flame consumes the wax itself. Day after day, it fades away without ever making sense. This candle is like many lives. Lives that burn without consciousness, that go on autopilot, that exhaust themselves without ever awakening. Have you ever wondered what you are truly losing by merely existing? Most people only realize the value of presence, depth, and intention when they've already lost almost everything. But you don't need to get there. You can see it now and change it now. The cost of living poorly. You don't see this cost printed on bills, but it is there, silent, corroding from within. Shallow relationships. When you live on autopilot, your connections become superficial. You converse, but don't listen. You are with someone, but your mind is elsewhere, present in body, absent in spirit. Over time, what was love becomes habit. What was friendship becomes a convenience exchange. And loneliness sets in, even when surrounded by people. Wasted time. You wake up, rush, get distracted, get tired, and repeat. Whole days lived as if they were disposable. The most dangerous illusion in life is thinking that later always exists. Life is not short. We are the ones who waste it. Seneca. Every minute lived without awareness is a drop of life slipping down the drain. And the cruelest part is that no one will notify you when your time is up. Missed opportunities. How many chances have you had and let slip away? A conversation that could change a relationship, an idea that could change your career, a courageous step that could change your story. But you hesitated, or got distracted, or thought it wasn't the right moment. Living poorly means saying no to what matters while drowning in what makes no difference. What you gain by living fully now, take a deep breath and visualize another path. Imagine waking up and feeling peace as you open your eyes. No rush, no knot in your throat, just presence. Peace. Peace doesn't come from a world without problems. It arises from a well-positioned mind, from someone who looks at chaos and still knows who they are. Living well means having peace even amid noise. Because inside, you are whole. Clarity. You know why you get out of bed. You know what to prioritize. You see what truly matters. You no longer live to impress. You no longer get lost trying to please. Clarity is like a light that clears away the fog. Suddenly, the paths appear. Sense of direction. Living with purpose doesn't mean having everything planned out. It means having an internal compass. You know what you are building. Every small gesture is part of something greater. You no longer feel tossed by life. You walk with firmness, even if in silence. Emotional contrast. On one side, you keep living on autopilot, wasting energy on what doesn't matter, collecting distractions, emptiness, and frustrations. On the other side, you live with soul, making conscious choices, being present in your actions and relationships. You can continue to be the candle that burns aimlessly, or you can be the sun that rises in silence, illuminating everything around you with purpose and clarity. Deep reflection. Now imagine this. You are at the end of your life, old, tired, lying in silence, and suddenly, consciousness awakens. You look back and realize, I was there, but I was never truly present. Did you live, or did you just pass through life? How many I love yous were swallowed? How many laughs were postponed? How many dreams were left for later that never came? This is a pain that no amount of money can erase, and no applause can replace. But now, you have a choice. You still have time. You still breathe. You can still live truly. Closing of the block. Living is not just about continuing to exist. Living is looking into the eyes of those you love and being truly there. It's walking with presence. It's making choices with intention. It's acting with virtue, even when no one is watching. Real life begins the moment you truly wake up. Transition phrase to the next block. If you don't want to reach the end and regret not having lived, then start now and live as if each day were a chapter worthy of your story. The Stoic choice. Live now. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine two paths before you. In the first, you continue as you are. You wake up already tired. You repeat the same habits. You think you're living, but deep down, you're just passing the time. You distract yourself, hide, and get lost in promises of later. Your soul shrinks. The sparkle in your eyes fades. And one day, without realizing it, you look back and ask, where did I lose myself? Now, visualize the second path. In this one, you still face challenges, of course, but your mind is awake. You act with presence, with virtue, with awareness. You make small, but genuine choices. You listen more, speak with more intention, breathe with more calm. You value silence, clarity, and direction. Slowly, you stop merely existing. You start living with purpose. The turn begins today. You don't need to drop everything. You don't need to change the world tomorrow. The Stoic philosophy doesn't demand grand revolutions. It proposes something more powerful, a silent yet daily transformation. You transform when you choose to look at your thoughts honestly, when you say no to what distracts you from your essence, when you say yes to what strengthens your soul. Today you can choose to live. You don't need to change everything, just start. True life is in the simple moments, in the attentive gaze, in the ethical gesture, in the uplifting word, in the pause that renews. It's in these moments that the Stoic awakens. It's in these gestures that he affirms, I am present, I am living. The flame is in your hands. You are not a spectator of your existence, you are the protagonist. And the power to change the script starts now. You can remain anesthetized, or you can rise as a silent hero. You don't need armor, just clarity and courage. Remember, it's not that we have little time to live, it's that we waste much of it. Montan Seneca. But this changes the moment you decide not to waste any more. Time doesn't return, but awareness begins today. The path is laid out. You already know what's at stake. You know what you lose when you live on autopilot. You know what you gain when you live with intention. Now, you just need to choose. And don't be fooled. Not choosing is already a choice. The good news? You are here. You listened until the end. This already proves that something inside you wants to live fully. So honor that impulse. Take the next step. Not tomorrow. Now. Impactful final phrase. Life doesn't wait. It's happening now. And you? Are you living or just existing? Closing with a call to action. If this message touched you, if you feel you no longer want to delay your own life, leave a comment below with the phrase, "Today I choose to live with intention." This is not just a phrase, it's a commitment to yourself. It's your first step. Like this video if it resonated with you. Share it with someone who needs to wake up to real life. And subscribe to the channel here. Each video is a call to your best version. The journey doesn't end here. It's just beginning, and you are not alone. We are together on this path toward a more awakened, stronger, and profoundly more vibrant life.